Good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us tonight for our plant journeys through the African diaspora workshop on Zoom for Green Thumb. Today we have Miss Kim Curtis, who is going to be joining us. And I want to just quickly introduce myself. My name is Tanisha Morrison. I am the Bronx Outreach Coordinator for Green Thumb. I help manage and oversee over 70 gardens in the Bronx, making sure our wonderful gardeners have everything that they need to have successful seasons in conjunction with the city with Green Thumb. So I am going to introduce um, Miss Kim Curtis, who is our guest speaker today. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Miss Kim. We're so happy to have you. Kim Curtis is a yoga instructor, a community organizer, and a graduate of the Brooklyn Urban Gardener Program at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, excuse me. Kim has combined her experience in urban farming and education to offer wellness products and services to underserved communities. Her passion has led her to create By Our Hands, which provides programming to nonprofits, youth organizations, and juvenile detention centers. She serves on the board of the Urban Resource Institute as well as the Howard Garden in Brownsville, Brooklyn. So, thank you so much for being here tonight, Kim.
Thank you so much, Tanisha, and thank you, Green Thumb, for having me. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. I'm really excited to be able to share my love of herbs and my knowledge with you all. But I do want this to be a interactive workshop. So I am inviting you, if you have a particular story or a recipe, something that you want to share about these herbs, feel free to either put it in the chat or there'll be some opportunities for you to come off of mute and share with the group. So, again, yes, thank you for inviting me. I'm a bug graduate. I highly recommend that program. For those of you who are not aware, it's like about 8 weeks, and they just break down everything from rainwater harvesting to starting your garden beds. It's just a really nice in-depth program. Um, and over in Brownsville on Howard between Dumont and Blake, you can come and check us out. We're available for you guys to come and do workshops at our community garden as well. So I do now live in New Orleans, but I do travel back and forth to New York often. I moved here because I really wanted to be able to grow all year round. So the tropical climate and the fact that I focus on Caribbean herbs, it just really made sense for me. So definitely look forward to having you guys join in on this discussion. All right, so just a disclaimer, nothing is a cure-all here. These are just suggestions of things that you can add into your diet, but you definitely want to talk to your doctor before you start adding in any herbal supplements, especially if like you take medication or anything like that. Okay, so before we begin, I just wanted to kind of get centered. I know some of us are probably coming in from work, probably had a long day. So uh, whatever's comfortable for you. Maybe you want to have your camera off for this. Feel free to do what feels right. But I just want us to take a few moments to breathe nice and deep. Maybe just take a head circle around in one direction. And we'll start to center ourselves so that we can receive as much of the information as possible. Let's try that 2 times. Let's slowly pick the head up. Let's reach the arms up and just start to alternate reaching up towards the ceiling, stretching out as much as we can, spreading those fingers. Come on, Tanisha. Yeah, beautiful. And let's inhale. We're going to reach both of our arms up as high as we can. Nice deep breath in. Start to roll out those wrists. Bring your arms all the way down by your hips. Try that one more time. Reach all the way up. Nice big breath in. Exhale, reverse the wrist roll. Bring the arms down. And we're gonna drag the fingers across the forehead and then stretch out as wide as far as you can. So this is like you removing any blockages, any negativity. We're just gonna drag it away and throw it away. All right, 2 more times. Connect it to your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. Shake it out. Boom. All right, I think we're ready. So let's begin. I can figure out how to share my screen. Awesome. So welcome to Plant Journeys through the African diaspora. So I chose just a few plants to focus on tonight. Obviously, you could talk about plants from the diaspora all day and all night, but these particular plants, they're all packed with nutrition. Just we can find a lot of uses for them in our everyday lives. Okay, why isn't it moving? Okay, give me 1 second. Let's try it again. Okay. So how did indigenous African plants arrive here? So we cannot skip over the transatlantic slave trade. A lot of plants were, widespread, but during the transatlantic slave trade, the forced migration of Africans to the Caribbean and to the Americas, it also came with the migration of a lot of different plant and animal species. So the slaves, they would braid seeds in their hair, and they really wanted to make sure that wherever they landed, that they would be able to have some type of advocacy for themselves and be able to grow their own food. And with that, they were able to bring a piece of home with them and some hope. So this became a way for them to be the first pioneers of cultivation in a lot of ways. And here we have our first quiz of the day. Does anyone recognize this tree? Can participants come off of mute at this time?
I can disable it.
Okay. Do we have any guesses? All right. Oh, I see something came in the chat.
Someone said mint.
Ah, okay, not a bad guess. Thank you, Katrina, for your input. Anybody else? Ah, ding, 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 ding. Chantel, thank you very much. This beauty that we have here is Moringa oleifera. Not sure why it's getting stuck though. Sorry for my technical difficulties.
You're fine.
Let's try this again. All right, we're gonna have to do this another way. Okay, so instead of the full screen option, let's just try it this way and see if this works out a little bit better. So here we have moringa, our super herb, which originated in Ethiopia. And in Ethiopia, you can find 9 different species of moringa alone, which I find to be very, very cool. From there, it migrated to West Africa, to South Africa, Caribbean, and then it made its way to the States through Florida. So one thing that's really cool about moringa is that it's super drought tolerant. So it can go for months without absolutely any rainwater. And the entire plant is edible. So from the roots to the leaves, the flowers, the pods, all of it is super, super nutritious. So some of the cool things that you can find in moringa, it's protein rich. So you don't find too many plants and herbs that are protein rich. We usually go to meat for that, but here you would have more protein than you would find in milk. You'd have 25 times the amount of iron that you'd find in spinach, 15 more times the amount of potassium that you'd find in bananas, and you're gonna have all 9 of your essential amino acids. So I love to have moringa as tea, but you can also ground it up into a powder. And we're seeing a lot of fighting of malnutrition with moringa powder. So you can add like a teaspoon into your, like let's say your rice or your porridge. And just like that, now you would have a very nutrient dense and rich meal. So moringa is pretty amazing. And then some other aliases that we have for moringa: the drumstick tree, the horseradish tree, mother's best friend, West Indian Ben, and the nebadai, which is supposed to kind of be a play on never die because it's so drought tolerant. Okay. Can anyone who's tried moringa before speak to the taste of it?
It's a little bit bitter for me. I have the powder.
Some people do find it bitter, yeah. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing.
I would say it tastes a little earthy, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I describe it too. Earthy, a little bit bitter, a little spicy. They don't call it the horseradish tree for no reason. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said a little green. She said earthy. I was gonna say it's a similar taste. I said it tastes very green.
Yeah, it definitely, it tastes like nutrition. So, you have to get used to the taste, but then for sure you'll feel the benefits right away. It's known to just give you a lot of energy, boost your metabolism, it's detoxifying. So moringa is definitely something that you can have every day and feel amazing. So hopefully you can't see that next one there, but who can recognize this beauty? I purposely chose this image to make it a little bit more difficult. So you really have to study the shape of the leaf and that fruit there.
It looks like a developing cocoa pod, but I know that's not true. It's bitter melon, I think.
It does look a lot like a cocoa pod. Yeah, they do have a similar shape. And can you just repeat, what did you say after the cocoa?
Bitter melon.
Bitter melon, ding, 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 ding. And who's speaking?
This is Chantal, and I didn't grow it this year, but I've grown it in I have a raised bed that's 20 feet long by 8.5 wide, and I set it up into quadrants. So I have my African American or Caribbean area, my Italian area, my Asian area, and that's kind of on the border between Asian and Caribbean.
Yeah, yeah. That's the perfect introduction for bitter melon right there. Thank you so much. So bitter melon, it originated in Africa, where it was considered a dry season staple food. And it naturally wild spread to Asia, but it was really cultivated there. And so you see a lot of Asian cuisine using bitter melon, the leaves, the gourds. It's also been called bitter cucumber or bitter gourd. And honestly, I was first introduced to it, or so I thought, in Trinidad, and it was called karaili. And so you prepare it like in a saute with onions and garlic to kind of like offset the bitter taste. And I thought that it was delicious. And after talking to my dad, who's Jamaican, he's like, oh yeah, man, Cerasee, you know Cerasee. And I'm like, wait a second, that's the same horrible bitter herb that I grew up drinking, like before you would go back to school, just to kind of like give yourself a cleanse and a detox. And so it's just so fascinating to see how we utilize a lot of the same plants and herbs, but we call them different things. And so we can, learn a lot from each other just by talking about the way that we use these things. So bitter melon, full of tons of vitamins, yet again, A, C, folate, zinc, potassium, iron, and it is well known to treat diabetes, high cholesterol. Another one, again, for boosting your metabolism due to its high fiber content. And some of you did receive the bitter melon that I grew here in New Orleans. If you do not like bitter tasting things, I would say to maybe perhaps have it as an ice drink, and you can sweeten it, to your taste. Maybe add some lemon or some lime into it. Okay. One more thing, it's not recommended for pregnant women. So let's just keep that in mind. And so here you can see another variety. So sometimes they're a little bit more smooth. Sometimes they're more spiky. Sometimes they're darker green. It just all depends. And so regardless, the leaves, the stems, the fruit, the seeds, all of it edible and amazing. So I don't really think I have to ask you all what this one is, but why not? Just to see. I'm sure most people can recognize this beauty.
Depending on where you are, Bissap.
I love that you said that. Could I ask where you're from?
Oh no, I'm a native New Yorker, but Afro-Caribbean. So yeah, we call it sorrel. Mexicans call it Jamaica. So I came across Bissap from an African guy. He said, "What'd you drink it?" I said, "Sorrel." He's like, "Can I taste it?" He said, "Oh, it's spicy Bissap juice."
Spicy Bissap juice. Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. So amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Hibiscus roselle, initially from Angola, it's now cultivated all over the world, mainly in tropical regions, but I've seen it grown in New York. I've seen it grown in several different gardens in New York. So because it can produce fairly quickly, you can get a nice, abundant harvest from it within one season, especially if you started earlier enough in the year. But like I believe that was Chantal mentions, It's known as sorrel to Jamaicans or as bissap to West Africans. It has so many aliases: Rose of Sharon, the Florida cranberry, the Queensland jam plant, Indian sorrel. So just depending on where you are, you can find a different name for this beautiful herb right here. So what I love about it is that you can consume it hot or cold. So the preparation that I'm most familiar with is the cold drink sorrel. Jamaicans, we make it with ginger, we sweeten it. So I actually didn't even know how tart it was until I was an adult because we sweeten it quite heavily, but it's probably not the best way to consume it. If we really wanted to treat our hypertension, lower our blood pressure, boost our liver health, let's just let the herb do its thing, lightly sweetened, and we'll get the max benefits. So it also can lift your mood and reduce your blood sugar levels. So like you can drink hibiscus tea every day, up to like 3 times a day. And if you are someone who suffers from lower blood pressure, within just a couple of weeks, you'd start to see the benefits and see your blood pressure reduce as a result of just drinking the tea. So some other amazing things about hibiscus: it aids in digestion, weight loss, fights colds. It actually does help to relieve some menstrual cramps, has some anti-inflammatory benefits and antibacterial properties as well. So the leaves are edible as well as the calyxes. So some of you received hibiscus flowers and leaves from me. So this is actually the plant when it was still in its earlier phase, but you can see that they got quite big. This is in my yard. So I incorporated the leaves because I just want us to start using more of the plant. We focus so much on the flowers, but the leaves have just as many benefits. And that way, you're not wasting, less can go into the compost and more goes into our bodies. So the leaves, highlighting them again here, great in salads, great in sautés. And if anyone else has like a favorite recipe or a usage for hibiscus, by all means, I invite you to share that with us now. No? Okay, cool. Well, I did want to show you how you can make some sorrel at home. So just really quickly, hopefully this works out. I will play a short video for you and you can recreate this at home, or you can just have your hibiscus as standard tea. You to the beautiful Mrs. Fraser, longtime Crown Heights resident of over 53 years, hailing from Jamaica. She's going to show us how you make sorrel today because she has not lost touch of her Jamaican heritage. So Ms. Fraser, can you please just walk us through the steps of how you make sorrel?
Okay, I will. You get a piece of ginger, and it depends on how you like to be spicy, very hot. You can just beat it up on a board with anything you have that can beat it up, and you put it in some boiling water. So you put it in the boiling water like this, and then when it boils again, you just put your sorrel in there, just like this. And now I'm stirring the sorrel And then we'll put it back on the fire for a few seconds, just so it will boil again. And then we're going to turn it off, put the cover on, and let it seep for a few hours. And then you can even leave it overnight. And then you're going to sweeten it when it's cool enough. And you sweeten it to your taste. And we'll make a nice, delicious drink. And we'll show you the end product soon.
Thank you. Amazing.
This is the traditional drink at Christmas time in Jamaica. And this is the sorrel. That is the end product of what you see earlier when we made it. And it's looking good. It's looking good.
Let's see if it tastes as good.
See if it's as good as it looks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So hopefully that inspired you to make some at home. And let's just finish this off here. So once again, thank you for coming out and sitting with me, learning with me, sharing your experiences with me, and just giving me some of your input. I really do appreciate it. So I will also put this in the chat in case anyone has any questions, anyone needs any more moringa seeds or tea. I'm always happy to help. And lastly, I wanted to just explain the moringa seeds that we got in our gift bags. Those who were able to sign up early, you got either the Sarasi blend, which also had some other Caribbean herbs like breadfruit, some moringa was in there, and then you got the hibiscus leaves with the hibiscus flowers. The moringa seeds, okay, Agota, I'm gonna have you just email me after the session and we'll figure it out, okay? So the seeds, you can either eat your seed. So the nut is filled with nutrition, so you can just crack the husk. And then you'd have a little white nut inside. And I will say that it's a pretty strong flavor. It's kind of sweet, but also very pungent. So have some water nearby. I don't want you guys to see how I screw up my face when I taste it. So I'm just gonna hold on to that. I've eaten quite a few already for the day, but one will give you instant energy, and that is a promise. And so let's say you want to actually just start your seed because you want to grow moringa. You can grow it as a dwarf tree, or you can grow it even as like an indoor plant and just keep it small, because after about 6 weeks, you'd be able to harvest from it. So if you just get like a little piece of plastic wrap, you're gonna soak your seeds for about 2 hours just to help speed up the germination. Then you'll wrap your seed, your soaked seed, in a little piece of paper towel, put it in your plastic, and then leave it for about 3 or 4 days. And then you should start to see your root popping out, as well as your little young shoot. And then she's ready to go in the ground. And I just harvested some fresh leaves. And yeah, this I can eat in front of you because it's just delicious. So you can have your leaves fresh on salad. You can grind them up into your powder. I implore everyone to grow some moringa, or at least start consuming some on a regular basis. I would love to open it up for questions now, commentary.
Thank you so much, Kim. That was amazing. I'm so excited to get into the chat and see what questions that our participants have. That was amazing. I'm excited to learn, more about hibiscus now. So we have Paula's asking, is moringa available as a tea? So
Oh, absolutely. So you'll find moringa tea leaves in a variety of places. I sell moringa tea leaves that I grew. Um, you'll find it on Amazon, on Pipe and Rock. There's some natural food stores in Brooklyn that have them. I can give you quite a few resources where you can get some moringa leaves as tea.
awesome. Thank you for that question, Paula. So Paula's also asking how to get seeds for her school's gardening program. Um,
Oh yeah, let me just put the my contact information in the chat now. And Paula, if you just send me an email and you let me know if it's moringa seeds or if you'd like to, know what other seeds I have, I'm happy to share. And I can probably even connect you with Botanic Garden so that you can get some seeds for your school. They always have an abundance and are always looking to help out. So want some local resources for where to get the moringa tea? No problem. Would I be able to send that to you after the workshop and have you email that to the group?
Hi, yes. Oh, hi, it's
Okay.
Paula. Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay, all right, great. Yeah, just because I want to just double check the address before I say anything. So look
Well,
out for that one. And I can also share the store where I buy the moringa seeds. I see.
So Petriana, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm so sorry. Petriana is wondering if you, Kim, have been to the garden at Botanical Garden by Dr. Jessica Harris.
No, where is that garden? And do share more. I would love it. Okay. Are they growing moringa there? Is it an oasis? I mean, just your excitement. I would love to check that out.
I'm sorry, it's too much to type. So
Okay.
it's a garden. I'll put my camera on. Just hold on so you could see my face. So it's a garden that the botanical gardens have created. So it's inside of the botanical gardens. So I don't know if you've ever been to the botanical gardens here in New York, but it's a garden specifically created within the garden, dedicated to what we're talking about tonight with the transatlantic slave trade and the seeds and the fruit that they brought over, the South Carolina rice. They have the garden egg. I'm not sure if they have moringa, but I know they have hibiscus. And when I tell you, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. When I tell you the garden is amazing, you don't want to leave. They have to kick me out every time. So, and it's like, and I'm learning more because I have plants in my house, but I don't grow food. So I'm learning more about growing food, and I have a Caribbean background. So a lot of this is familiar from my grandmother, but not necessarily me like going to the garden and picking it out. But when you come to New York, I think, what are we in October? Yeah, they might be closed. But when you just Google botanical gardens here, the New York Botanical Gardens, they're in the Bronx, and look up the American Garden. You will love it.
Thank you so much. I am writing it down right now. because that enthusiasm that you have, I need to just go and soak up what's going on in there for sure. I appreciate you.
Can you tell which section in the Botanic Garden? Because I don't think I ever saw, but I am not African. I don't have Caribbean or African background.
Okay, so it's called the African American Garden inside the Botanical Gardens. So you can get on the tram or you can walk.
That's close to the Rose Garden or across the Zorro.
Girl, okay, wait, hold on.
It's across from Edible Academy, where they teach all the kids about composting and do all the demos. It's directly across from there, so you can't miss it.
Right, yes, it is. And it's by the what garden? What is that? The garden that's right there. I've only been like 3 times, but there's a growing garden right next to it, and they give out fruits and vegetables. I can't remember. Is that the name of it? The Children's Garden? Is that what that is?
Family Garden.
Yes, it's Edible Academy.
It's called Edible Academy. Okay.
But hurry up and go, because I heard recently that they're turning it over from Dr. Harris's exhibit, and it's possible they're going to be turning it into like a Caribbean themed is what they're toying with. But I know the exhibit isn't going to be for much longer. So definitely try to check it out when you can.
What do you mean they're going to change it into a Caribbean? Talk to us.
They're turning the garden over to another theme, and they definitely want to keep it, based how it is. But Dr. Harris's exhibit was specifically for Juneteenth, and it was specifically curated for a specific amount of time, which is coming to pass. So they're in conversation now to transition it, like I said, into a Caribbean themed garden.
So
that specific patch.
So they're going to dismantle that garden, or they're going to keep it with all the with what it has, or like?
That's a question for NYBG that I wouldn't know.
Okay. Wow. That's disheartening.
Well, hopefully with
folks get a chance to check it out.
Yeah, they're still preserving a good amount of it. It sounds amazing though, so let's just get there as quickly as we can. Thank you for sharing.
Definitely excited to try to get out there and see it. Does anybody have any questions? Any more questions that they want that they didn't get a chance to write in the chat?
Hi, this is Paula. May I ask a question? I'm going to put my camera on also. Bear with me 1 second. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Paula.
I missed the beginning, so pardon me for that. I had a problem logging on. But my question is this, and you probably talked about this in the beginning. I missed the very, very beginning when you gave like your intro. So I'm curious about your background, and then where do you see this going forward? Like this love of seeds and the African-American connection. How do you see this growing as a community, and what can educators do to help students to appreciate this strong, rich heritage that we have?
Yeah, so my name is Kim Nicole. I got started gardening quite a few years ago. I did receive some training from the Botanic Garden during the bug program. So that was very helpful. I also studied with Soulfire Farm. So that was pretty amazing and very immersive. That's where I started to really learn the heritage of seeds and how important the preservations of seeds and the stories truly are. I think that every school should have a garden. It's just an amazing opportunity for students to learn hands-on. I mean, it's sensory, it's scientific, it just covers so many different bases. And then you know, if you are working with students of color, it could be a nice way to introduce the pride and the legacy of certain herbs and plants just through cultivating in the garden. So how I can be an asset is providing you with the seeds. I now live in New Orleans. I do travel back and forth kind of regularly, but I'm happy to ship. And the reason that I'm here is because the focus is Caribbean herbs, and here I can grow that all year round. And in New York, you can still do a lot, but I didn't want to take any months off, to be quite honest.
Right.
So,
like in my school garden this year, for the first time, we did callaloo. Right. So we have an edible school garden, and we grow fruits and vegetables. But what I was trying to do this year with my team was to like expand it out from the typical and to be more culturally responsive so that it represents what our urban school community looks like and what our students enjoy or what their parents may have grown up on. Because what we found is that for many students of color that grow, you know, again, they'd rather get a French fry than grow a potato. Or, you know, it's a stigma about going back into the garden and growing, right? Because there's so much history that was negative when it came to farming. So we're trying to, you know, just expand and to show students in ways that are positive, that first of all, it's important to learn how to grow your own food, that you can, you know, manage your health and the health of your family, and that it can grow the community. We also have like a small farm stand program that our students also work at. So part of what we grow in our garden, we make available for sale. The students run a little farm stand program outside in front of our school weekly. But again, this, like, we're trying to be more culturally responsive. So like I said, this year we tried callaloo, and you know, it was wonderful because some of the kids could say, yeah, when I was back home in Jamaica, and my grandma and auntie and so forth and so on. And so they're out
salt fish.
Exactly. And even for the staff, you know, it reminds them of home too, right? So that was really nice, and people in the community. So I'm always looking for how can we expand past the regular in order to, you know, again, embrace our rich African-American and, you know, Caribbean culture.
Absolutely.
So thank you for this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Did you guys grow any okra this year?
No, we did not, but that is on my list for next year because, again, I've been like, I have the book Soul Fire Farm. I'm reading We Are Each Other's Harvest, and just trying to, even for myself, to be more conscious of the rich heritage that we have, right? Because I've been a grower for a while, but just making those connections so that we can share those connections with our kids. And I kept thinking about okra. I run the program with a group of other teachers, and not, you know, we're a mixed bag. And so, you know, trying to get people to think, like I said, outside of the regular. So okra is something that for next year, I want to grow because I think that is so important to the African diaspora, you know. Okra, you got to have some okra.
Incredible. And I mean, being where I am, it's just a staple for so many things, for gumbo and
right.
Just, I have a lot of those seeds, and I think we can just do a whole lesson on okra and its wonderful uses just in itself. I mean, for pregnant women, for skin health, for vitality, it's just,
Right.
Let's please connect.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, thank you.
Nice
All right.
meeting you.
You too.
So we have another question in the chat. from Vanessa B. What can moringa mix good with if the taste is too prominent at first?
I kind of want to pose that back to the room. Personally, I sometimes add it with something citrusy like lemon basil, lemon verbena, and maybe mint or shiso. But it kind of depends on your flavor profile, what you're into. Ginger tea, yeah, ginger will kind of cut through the taste of anything. So that would be a great suggestion. Thank you, Deborah. I'm trying to think what else. Rose, I've seen it added with, even lavender. So it really depends on what you're into.
I see Chantel has her hand up. She has a question.
Hey, Chantal.
Hi. I'm trying to lower my hand, especially since I never raised it in school. I just spit out what I wanted to say. Yeah, I was that kid. Paula, real quick, you had talked about engaging kids in the school garden. Can I ask how old they are?
Yeah, I'm in a special education school, high school, so students 13 to 21.
One thing that I found helpful, and I'm blessed with 13 nieces and nephews, as well as whatever neighborhood kid wants to stop by the garden. As far as engagement, I'm known to grow the wild, weird, and wonderful things. So unfortunately, an acquaintance kid got killed in Sandy Hook, and her favorite color was purple, as mine was, and as my now 13-year-old niece is. But I have one area of my garden that's just purple things, and it's dedicated in her memory for Anna Grace. And it's just purple haze. Everything purple is in that corner. And we would go to do things like go to the market and see weird things. What is this? Oh, I don't know, Auntie. It looks like an alien. What do you know what it is? No, I don't. Let's look it up. And it's, kohlrabi. And
Right.
so one of the things that was helpful, first of all, if you feed them, they will come. And then one thing I found as far as sharing the dynamic of or the transmigration from slavery or re-engaging with the land, kids naturally want to play in the dirt anyway. And for me, it was helpful sharing that to try to take away the stigma of slavery and those ill feelings, was to remind people that we were taken for our prowess, for our knowledge. And so I don't have Southern roots. I do have Caribbean and Latino, but just to let them know, like, look, this is something we were great at. Don't let anyone take that away from us. We were growing organically before there was a term, and now the term has been so diluted. Whatever our parents did or our grandparents did is probably the best thing for them. So those are just some thoughts that may help you engage them. But I find the colorful things. I grow the Romanesco spiky broccoli, just all the weird things. These huge green gourds I grew at a different garden for Halloween. And, they're like little sponges. And it's wonderful when you see them get engaged and the light bulb go off, and you never know what it's going to be. So just keep after them.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, we do. We have also like a native plant and pollinator section. We have some sensory, because again, I'm in special ed, so sensory is extremely important to students with sensory concerns. So you know, we grow a lot of things that are sensory, either by touch or by smell. So a lot of different herbs that they can smell and, you know, rub in their hands and things of that nature. So we have, you know, native plants, pollinators, and also edible. And this year we were able to add some fruit trees. We work along with the New York Restoration Project, and they were really instrumental in helping us to really build out our gardens. So now we're hoping, like in 2 years, we planted them this year, but we'll have cherry trees, pear trees, and apple trees. So so that's a lot for us, because we are in the South Bronx and we have, for a urban school, a lot of property, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to build over the years on that property with the support of the community. You know, community supporters and our custodians are wonderful too.
Amazing. I love all of this that's happening in this room right now. Like, we can get into even more plants. This is something I just harvested today. Lab would be wonderful for you guys to grow too, and it produces abundantly. I mean, we're talking pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds of edible beans and flowers. Mm-hmm. So that is yet something else that came from West Africa that we just don't want to forget.
Right. Would you put that name in the chat for me? I will definitely look that one up too.
I can send you
some
seeds, please.
Okay.
I'll have more than I can ever use. So. Okay. But they are hyacinth beans, AKA Lab.
Oh, Lab, okay.
African.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions before we wrap? Okay.
Awesome. Thank you all for your patience as we work through the technical difficulties. I'm glad that it seems like we were able to take away something. I definitely learned a lot from you all, so I am extremely appreciative. I know it's not easy to log on after a long day of work, so thank you. I hope you have a wonderful night and that we can talk plants again sometime soon. My email is in the chat, so definitely feel free to reach out. And Agoda, I will reach out to you shortly.
Thank you, everybody. From the Green Thumb team, we appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for coming on. I see Rivers Run, I see River Garden. I also see New Roots represented here. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And we will see you soon. Thanks so much for joining.
Awesome. Good night, everyone.